So you're probably wondering why I was so excited being by the Ribblehead Viaduct. Well, before I do explain, I feel a bit of a story coming on. You see, if such a route like the route that features the Ribblehead Viaduct, the Settle and Carlisle line, if that route was proposed today, it'd be rejected on the grounds of cost, if nothing else. Because the main reason why it exists is in no small part due to Victorian railway politics. Because on the one hand, you had the London and North Western Railway, LNWR, running what's now the West Coast Main Line, and you had the East Coast Main Line, which still, both of which, the West and East Coast Main Lines, still exist today. But the Midland Railway wanted to run trains to Scotland as well, and initially they had an unsatisfactory arrangement whereby their trains were coupled onto the back of LNWR trains at Lancaster. And out of pure frustration, the company, led by their chairman, decided to build their own route to Scotland. And what did they do with their proposal? Well, the story goes, they took a map, got a ruler, and drew a straight line on it, quite literally, from Settle to Carlisle. Hence the name of the route, of course. That being said, an argument can be made that the Midland didn't necessarily actually want to build the railway that they were proposing, because all they wanted was better access for the railway route from the north of England into Scotland. Because when they surveyed the route, they realised that it would be challenging at best to build such a railway route from Settle to Carlisle. In no small part, it featured mountainous terrain. I mean, it goes through, not least of which, the three of the peaks of the Pennines: Engelborough, Whernside and Pen y Ghent. And if that wasn't bad enough, the line had challenging infrastructure to build as well. I mean, there were high embankments, viaducts and tunnels, because there were as well as the mountains, there were streams, rivers, and the general lack of level terrain. Indeed, the Settle and Carlisle line features the highest railway summit in England, the name of which is Aysgill Summit, being 1,169 feet above sea level, including the highest station in England, Dent Station, even though the village of Dent is some 3.5 miles from the station it purportedly serves. That being said, it could be argued that it's a vital lifeline for such rural communities as Dent. In the end, of course, the Midland was compelled to build the railway line because their partners in the venture, when the Midland tried to get an abandonment bill through Parliament, they had the bill thrown out because, well, they would have lost out on their traffic in using the new line. Although, to the Midland's credit, they did actually build it to incredibly high standards, even for the time. They didn't just make it a single branch line from Settle to Carlisle, they made it an express line. You know, crack expresses would run from St Pancras all the way through to Scotland. An amazing feat of engineering. Incredible. But that wasn't to say, even when the line was eventually finished, that it wasn't devoid of challenges. I mean, the line doesn't actually begin at Settle Station. It begins a little bit further back at the junction of the same name, Settle Junction. And it runs to Petriel Bridge Junction, which is just south of Carlisle's Citadel Station. But anyway, just north of the junction at Settle is where one of the most famous challenges, or infamous, if depending on how you want to refer to it, challenges of the Settle and Carlisle line from a steam train driver's point of view, in the Victorian days anyway, the long drag. The long drag being the almost continuous climb of 1 in 100 up the hill towards Bleemore Tunnel, a full 15 miles away. And you're probably thinking, 1 in 100? That's nothing. But bear in mind, steam engines were not as powerful back then as, well, a modern diesel, for example. And trains usually had to be double-headed, as far as A's Gill Summit. But they would be detached there, or depending on the stopping pattern, they'd run all the way to Appleby. But yeah, what a route. The line is also kind of a phoenix, you could say, because in the 1980s, British Rail at the time were, how can I put this, they were intentionally running down traffic on not just this route but other routes as well, to try and make an economic case for them to close it down. And let's just say there was a big campaign against it, the closure. I mean, it led to people from up and down the country, even as far away as London, supporting this line that had at the time just 2 trains a day, one in each direction, calling only at Settle and Appleby en route to Carlisle to save it. And ultimately it was successful, and the line is a great mix of ancient and modern. You know, you have these beautiful stations like Ribblehead, for example, right by the viaduct of the same name, beautifully restored in 1876 appearance. And wow, words can't even do it justice. On to the last thing I want to say, completely unrelated to the Settle and Carlisle line now. You probably noticed before that my videos, including Road to Monza posts, had black bars down the side. Well, it turns out, to coin the phrase, my bad. Basically what I'd done was I'd had my camera on the wrong setting. Rather than 16:9, which is what I meant to use for YouTube purposes, it was accidentally set to 4:3, so hence the black bars. I've set it to the correct thing now, so there shouldn't be any problems, he says, going like that. So I'm gonna publish this now, and hopefully my next post, which will be a Road to Monza, will be more satisfactory than the others, rather than just stretch top to bottom and get rid of those damn black bars. I'll see you soon, guys.